Hi there, I'm John Spade. It's Saturday, September the 25th, 2010, and today I have a few things to talk about. I always have a few things to talk about. I left off yesterday's episode sort of dwelling into the area of gun registry again here in Canada, and I didn't really have enough time because what I need to talk about probably takes more than even the time I have in one segment. So I'm going to break it down into mini segments, talk a little bit about it, because there's other stuff I want to talk about too. As I've noticed, if I mix sort of, the political stuff and everything that I like and also put a little fluff in, it seems to give a better balance and I get better feedback. True story. The gun registry. My God, we've spent $1 billion plus. It keeps counting. Well, it went to a vote. By a narrow margin. I believe it was 155 for, 153 against. I could be wrong on those numbers. I'm prone to making mistakes. Just ask my wife. Anyways, a slim margin. I know it was a margin of 2 votes decided to keep the gun registry alive in this country. When is common sense going to take over? I asked you. People, when will we start thinking with a rational mind when it comes to the world and how it works? I found it interesting listening to the chief of police here in Calgary talk about the gun registry, and it was interesting to hear, and I've heard a few police talk about it in the news, on radio, about how it doesn't really serve the function that it was required. Like, the reason they came up with the gun registry was they felt by having it, they could control crime. They could control murder in this country. And as the chief of police said, I was listening to him on the radio on CBC. I listen to CBC a lot. I love it. It's Canadian for those Americans that are listening. You don't get good quality radio like that down there. You guys have Howard Stern. I'm kidding. I know you have good radio. Anyways, he basically, and I thought it was really interesting to hear this because he wasn't talking as a politician. He was talking as basically a layman in the field. And what he said was so interesting. He talks about his officers who were out at midnight, driving around in the streets, and they come across gangsters who are driving around in their vehicles with their tinted out windows and their cache guns that are inside, where they potentially could be at risk every night they go out. The risk is there to get into a gunfight with these kind of people. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that those gang members that are driving around in their vehicle at midnight and all hours of the evening with guns didn't buy those guns through normal channels. They didn't register them. They're not going to register them. So let's be honest here. Who is the gun registry helping? I would love somebody else to weigh in with something that makes more sense than, the conspiracy idea that I throw out there, that it's just one way for the government to keep tabs on people that have guns. Because if shit hits the fan, and I've talked about this in Another Egg, whose door are they going to come knocking on if they want to squash a revolution? Now, the idea of revolution to most people in this day and time, they're going to go, my God, what are you talking about? This is the idyllic life. There's no such thing. Revolution's never going to happen. Well, tell other civilizations, tell other countries that go through revolt and uprising right now. What makes us so special in North America that the chance of a revolution is never going to happen? It's food for thought. All right, I can go on and I don't want to go on because I want to talk about some other stuff today that kind of got me thinking about the world that we live in. And what's important to us and what makes us tick. So I'm reading an article about Obama. He's kind of really upset about some comments that were made by Iran's illustrious leader, who's not really the leader. Interesting how their politics work. They have a king and then they have a president, but he's not. It's a figurehead. Sometimes I really have trouble understanding how their politics works. Anyways, I think he's kind of like a puppet. And he's in front of the camera and he says a lot of things that are inflammatory. Not really sure why he's always pushing the buttons of the Americans and Jews and anybody else that's in earshot. I hear he doesn't like homosexuals either. But I'm getting off point. Where I wanted to go with this is, so Obama is talking about how disappointed he is that it would be suggested that 9/11 was perpetrated by the American government. He was offended by this idea. Maybe he knows something that the rest of us don't. I don't know. I do know we're talking about a guy right now who came out guns blazing. He's going to change the world, be a revolutionary. And now all of a sudden it's like, Obama who? Don't hear a whole lot from the guy anymore. He's sort of, coasting along, the status quo. Well, that's not really what I want to talk about. What I thought was interesting is I'm reading this. It's the Drudge Report. Comes up. It's news. This is important stuff. This is our history. This is stuff that everybody should be paying attention to. Unfortunately, the very next article has to do with Lynsey fucking Lohan. Like, who gives a shit? But the reality is unfortunately, for whatever reason, we all seem to care. I'm included. I don't know. This chick's a train wreck. So I have to click. I want to see the link. I want to read what's about. So she got arrested because she failed the conditions of her probation, and go figure. She's a relatively young lady who has a lot of money, not a lot of direction, obviously had some pretty bad parental guidance along the way, and this is the result. So why do we want to watch this? I have a theory. My theory is we want to feel better about ourselves. So if we can look at somebody who, has all this money and fame and notoriety and see them sort of shit the bed and go sideways, it makes us feel better because a lot of us are just, we're sort of, we don't have all that. And maybe for a day we can feel better than somebody like that. It's just a thought I had. What do you think? Crazy? I don't know. But we continue to tune in. And sometimes I think the lives of the stars. Here's another one. Ashton Kutcher apparently is having an affair. And nobody saw that coming. Now, you know what? Demi Moore is attractive. I'm 46 years old. I think she's getting on 50 or getting close to it. She still looks pretty hot. I don't know how much plastic surgery she's had. And again, who knows? Once the makeup comes off and everything else, and might look a little different. Ashton Kutcher's a young man. He's pretty attractive, and he's a super megastar. So, is he having an affair on Demi Moore? The news is running it. The rumors keep coming out. When it came with Tiger Woods, sort of the reaction was the same. Oh, Tiger Woods? There's no way Tiger Woods would ever have an affair. I don't know. We've lost count. I don't. What's the count up to now? 30 plus. We've lost count of how many women Tiger Woods has slept with. Anyways, so the idea that Ashton Kutcher is sleeping around on Demi Moore, with all the traveling and the parties and everything else that goes on in that lifestyle, not really a shocker. But then again, is it news? And why do we have this yearning to know the tragedies playing out in, megastars' lives? Maybe it's just entertainment. And maybe we relish in other people's misery. There are a number of things, there are a number of reasons, and I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. If you have some ideas, let me know. That's all I'm talking about for this egg. Today it's Saturday, and I'll maybe be back tomorrow. I don't know. No, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm sure I've got something to talk about. Bye-bye.